exFAT.
exFAT is a Microsoft file system optimized for flash drives. It is proprietary and patented. It is supported in Windows XP and Windows Server 2003 with update KB 955704, Windows Embedded CE 6.0, Windows Vista with Service Pack 1, Windows Server 2008, Windows 7, Windows 8, Windows Server 2008-02, Mac OS X Snow Leopard starting from 10.6.5, Mac OS X Lion, OS X Mountain Lion, and OS X Mavericks. exFAT can be used where the NTFS file system is not a feasible solution, due to data structure overhead, or where the file size limit of the standard FAT32 file system, that is, without FAT32 plus extension, is unacceptable. Unlike NTFS, exFAT cannot pre-allocate disk space for a file by just marking arbitrary space on disk as allocated. As in FAT, when creating a file of known length, exFAT must perform a complete physical write equal to the size of the file. exFAT is also supported in a number of media devices such as modern flat-panel TVs, media centers, and portable media players.
Advantages and disadvantages.
The advantages over FAT file systems include: for the typical user, seamless interoperability between Windows and OS X platforms for files in excess of 4 GB, scalability to large disk sizes, 64 ZIB theoretical max, 512 TB recommended max, raised from the 32-bit limit, 2 TB for sector size 512, of FAT32 partitions, file size limit of 16 EIB 1 byte. Limited by volume size, raised from 4 GB. 1 byte in a standard FAT32 file system. The Open FAT32 Plus specification proposes an extension how to store files up to 256 GB on otherwise backward-compatible FAT32 volumes as well. This extension is available in some versions of Drive DOS so far, but is trivial to implement in other FAT32 implementations as well. Cluster size up to 32 MB. Free space allocation and delete performance improved due to introduction of a free space bitmap. Timestamp granularity of 10 milliseconds, same as in FAT12/FAT16/FAT32 for creation time, but not as fine as NTFS's 100 nanoseconds. Optional support for UTC timestamps, starting with Vista SP2. Optional support for access control lists, not supported in Windows Vista SP1. Optional support for exFAT, a transactional file system standard, optionally when's activated function. Provision for OEM-definable parameters to customize the file system for specific device characteristics. The disadvantages compared to FAT file systems include: Microsoft has not released the official exFAT file system specification, and a restrictive license from Microsoft is required in order to make and distribute exFAT implementations. Microsoft also asserts patents on exFAT which make it impossible to re-implement its functionality in a compatible way without violating a large percentage of them. This renders the implementation, distribution, and use of exFAT as a part of free or open source operating systems or of commercial software, for which the vendors could not obtain a license from Microsoft, legally difficult, especially in countries that recognize United States software patents. Most consumer electronic devices could only handle FAT12/FAT16/FAT32, rendering exFAT, and flash memory formatted with it, impractical as a universal exchange format. Linux support for exFAT is still limited. Windows XP and Windows Vista require certain updates for exFAT support. Windows Vista is unable to use exFAT drives for ReadyBoost. Windows 7 removes this limitation, enabling ReadyBoost caches larger than 4 GB. The standard exFAT implementation is not journaled and only uses a single file allocation table and free space map. FAT file systems instead used alternating tables, as this allowed recovery of the file system if the media was ejected during a write, which occurs frequently in practice with removable media. The optional exFAT component adds support for additional backup tables and maps, but may not be supported. Support for up to 2,796,202 files per subdirectory only. Microsoft documents a limit of 65,534 files per subdirectory for their FAT32 implementation, but other operating systems have no special limit for the number of files in a FAT32 directory. FAT32 implementations in other operating systems allow an unlimited number of files up to the number of available clusters, that is, up to 268,304,373 files on volumes without long file names.
Adoption.
Companies can integrate exFAT into a specific group of consumer devices, including cameras, camcorders, and digital photo frames for a flat fee. Mobile phones, PCs, and networks have a different volume pricing model. Microsoft has entered into licensing agreements with BlackBerry, Panasonic, Sanyo, Sony, Canon, Aspen Avionics, and BMW. A Fuse-based implementation named Fuse exFAT, or exFAT Fuse, with read-write support is available for FreeBSD and multiple Linux distributions. A kernel implementation has also been released, written by Samsung. It was initially released on GitHub unintentionally, and later released officially by Samsung in compliance with the GPL. None of the solutions can become an official part of Linux due to the patent-encumbered status of the exFAT file system. Proprietary read-write solutions licensed and derived from the Microsoft exFAT implementation are available for Android, Linux, and other operating systems from Paragon Software Group and Tuxera. xFiles, from Datalight, is a proprietary, full-featured implementation, intended to be portable to 32-bit systems. RTFS, from EBS Embedded Software, is a full-featured implementation for embedded devices. Two experimental, unofficial solutions are available for DOS. The loadable USB exFAT driver requires Panasonic's USB stack for DOS and only works with USB storage devices. The open-source exFAT executable is an exFAT file system reader, and requires the HXDOS extender to work. There are no native exFAT real-mode DOS drivers, which would allow usage of, or booting from exFAT volumes. Mac OS X Snow Leopard 10.6.5 and later can create, read, write, verify, and repair exFAT file systems.